The front foot elevated reverse lunge. This is a great unilateral option with a lot of stability built in that allows for a nice large range of motion and single leg, where it really is a single leg exercise more than, say, a split squat. I like to use about 3 to 5 inches of elevation for most, and then from there, the execution is really about using that support for balance and not assistance in coming up. When most people do a reverse lunge or a deficit reverse lunge, a lot of times without this support, what ends up happening is we externally rotate and we twist when we go to that single leg. And we end up a lot of times like this, right? Externally rotated in the hips. In a lunge, I actually want the opposite. I want some internal rotation and torque here. So the balance assistance is key for helping to facilitate that. So as you set up, I like to imagine that I've got my foot floating off of the elevation, and I'm using this to make sure I don't fall over. And then that's essentially the balance point I want to try to keep throughout my reps. From there, it's fairly straightforward. Little tweaks you can do. If you'd like to make it more quad dominant, I'll elevate my heel, I'll keep my chest over my knee, and I'll try and drive this knee as far forward as I can without that heel popping up in the bottom. So emphasizing knee flexion, hitting the quad more. If I want to make it more of a glute-focused movement, I'll send my trailing foot back a little further, let my torso angle change, and increase the hip flexion, right, or amount of bend in the hip, and decrease the amount of bend in the knee. So I can make it a little more glute biased. Both great options.